This is Terry Wagar. The date today is July 2nd, 2015. I left the apartment this morning to take out a few garbage bags to the dumpster and to head to the grocery store. And after I dropped off the garbage bags, I noticed that red pickup truck that's sitting in the parking lot out there. So I took an opportunity to get a video of the license plate of that pickup truck, as well as the sticker decals that are on that pickup truck. The reason for that is the reason I got video of this pickup truck is because the driver, the owner or driver of that pickup truck is a Portland cop. He's a police sting operative, and they're renting the surrounding apartments surrounding mine. Ever since I have moved into this apartment building, Misty Furs Apartments, the Portland Police Department have taken control of this apartment to my left, this apartment directly below mine, and the apartment directly to my right. And in at least one of these apartments, at least one, they maintain actual officers that have guns and badges and are, for the most part, relatively quiet. And the rest of the apartments they surround with they fill those with their civilian operatives, usually either female officers that are undercover, or with just their civilian operatives, which tend to be people that are buddies to authorities, or relatives to people in authority, or girlfriends to people in authority. From late 2010 up until 2014, these sting operatives were constantly staging street theater performances in front of my apartment and near and around my apartment for the sake of framing. They were using an officer as a photo double to impersonate me. They were staging street theater skits, and it was the civilian operatives that have children that were used in this operation, and these sting operatives were using their own children in these street theater performances. And by the time the year 2014 came, they had me already vilified in my neighborhood behind my back. They had me vilified with word-of-mouth bullshit accusations. And keep in mind, the Portland Police and County Sheriffs and their civilian operatives have pretty much taken full control of this entire building. It's relatively easy for me to identify them as sting operatives because they don't act normally. The apartment manager is aiding and abetting them in this operation, in this sting operation, and is assisting them in this sting operation. So anybody she pals around with, or is on friendly terms with, I can easily peg immediately right away as a sting op. She's not really hiding it. The apartment manager moved from that. She lives on site here, and she used to live in a building on the other side of the courtyard. Well, she moved from that building to this building to aid and assist these sting operatives in their street theater performances. Well, I ended up catching them last year in 2014 on videos using their street theater performances to frame me. I'm disabled. They have me poisoned and disabled and debilitated, and I'm on SSI, and I don't leave this apartment except like once a month. and to go to the bank and then to go grocery shopping, and I usually have to buy enough groceries to last me for a month because it's not easy for me to go anywhere. They have me severely debilitated. I bleed internally. The more I move around, the worse the internal bleeding gets. So I have to, for the most part, stay mostly immobile, either sitting or laying down, and it's not easy for me to get around. And they're taking advantage of the fact they have me partially paralyzed and severely debilitated. They're taking full advantage of that. Well, in 2014, they were practically this female sting operatives were practically throwing brats at me for the sake of making me look bad for their own photogenic photo purposes. And I caught them literally in the act on video practically because, like I said, I don't leave except once a month. Once a month I leave this apartment. And they know when I'm going to leave because they know I have to go to the bank to go grocery shopping and buy enough. I have to buy food and whatnot. They know my routine, in other words. So when I was getting ready to leave my apartment last year, the sting operatives were getting themselves into position, and they had a child with them, and they were using this poor child in their sting operation. This female sting operative that was in the apartment directly below mine, literally, as I'm in my apartment getting ready to go out the door to leave, it takes me about 5-10 minutes to get ready. And as I'm getting ready, this female sting operative that had a brat in this apartment down below took that brat outside, and they're just standing out on the catwalk, not on the catwalk in front of my apartment, but on the walkway in the courtyard area. And they're just and that lady just made that poor kid just sit there. And they just basically stood there and just waited. And when I got my stuff and I got my my cane and I got my backpack on and got my coat on and whatever, because it's an ordeal just for me to get ready to go out the door. Yeah, I was already suspecting that she was going to do this because they did this like 2 or 3 times beforehand. Each and every time I left my apartment, it was like I was ambushed at the bottom of the stairs each and every time by sting operatives that had brats with them. And I was under the distinct impression that they're doing this for their own photogenic photo purposes and or for their own video surveillance purposes. So as far as I was concerned, it's like take 1, take 2, take 3, take 4, that kind of a thing, where it's just a repeated process that they do over and over and over again. So I was expecting it to happen. So before I went out my door, I turned on my cell phone and I had it recording, and I'm just holding my cell phone down at my side, so that it's not obvious that I'm recording with it. And then I just went out the door. And as soon as I got to the stairs out here, and as soon as I took my first step, that's when this female sting op that's with this brat out on the walkway in the courtyard, she turned around, she told the kid to turn around, and they both started walking towards the bottom of the stairs as I'm trying to navigate down the stairs. And this bitch was trying to time it. She was deliberately going slower than hell. I mean, deliberately, because I can't get down the stairs quickly. I use a fucking cane. There's my cane right there. Right there's my cane. I'm partially paralyzed. It's not easy for me to get down these fucking stairs. So this bitch was going slower than hell, and I knew exactly why she's doing this. So I slowed down even further because I didn't want to be anywhere near these people at all. So she had no choice. They had no choice but to continue on. She was trying to time it so that we would all converge at the bottom of the stairs at the same time. That's what she was trying to time it for. Well, when she got past the stairs, she made herself and that child that's with her stand in front of the apartment that's directly below this apartment and just stand there at the doorway. So they're essentially blocking my path. In other words, I have no choice but to go down the stairs and to go this way in order to go to the parking lot, in order to vacate this building area. And this lady is deliberately placing herself in my path, deliberately and intentionally. And she's making her child wait. Now, I had no choice but to walk past them when I got down to the bottom of the stairs because they're not going into their apartment. They didn't start going into their apartment until after I walked past them. The moment I started walking past, that's when the lady started bringing the child into the apartment. Now, I don't fault the child for this. The child was, that poor child that sting off was using is probably like 5 or something. I don't know. The child actually agrees with me that this lady's behavior is odd and weird because the child didn't understand why this adult lady took her out of the apartment and then made her stand in the walkway out there, and it just for the sake of standing there for a few minutes and then walking back into the apartment, and then the lady took her sweet time to get that kid back into that apartment. Now, keep in mind, the child was complaining to this female adult because the child thought the female was acting weird as well. So I'm not the only one that's thinking this woman's acting very weirdly. Okay? Now, the lady said, the child was complaining to the lady saying, "Why do I have to go back inside?" The child didn't understand why this lady brought the child outside for the sole purpose of just placing the child near me and then going back inside. Now, the lady immediately answered the child's question by saying, "He's a pedophile," as if that explains anything. That doesn't explain nothing, because it doesn't explain why is the lady deliberately placing the child in my path? Why is the lady deliberately, intentionally placing these children in my path? Because they want to make me look bad for their fucking video surveillance and for their own photogenic photo purposes. And not only did I perceive the lady's behavior as weird and odd and unnormal, but the child that's in the care of this adult lady also thought the adult lady was acting weird. Now, I caught this on video last year. Ever since I caught that, they had a whole change in the sting operations around here. About 4 apartment buildings within 1 month after I caught that female lady sting off trying to frame me. Within 1 month after that, about 4 apartments in this building vacated, and an all new crew of sting offs came in. And one of the new crew of sting offs that came in is these people with the red pickup truck. Now, I've already got that dude that drives that red pickup truck on video wearing a police uniform. So I'm fucking surrounded by these goddamn fucking murderers. These fucking pedophile cops pay their whore-ass girlfriends to use their brats in sting operations so they can frame people. And since they're dumbass, stupid-ass, whore-ass, badge-carrying female cops, fumbled their goddamn setup of me. Oh, gee, they bring in the male cops with their guns, with their death threats decals that they have on their vehicles to take over the surrounding apartments. And they don't even fucking try to hide it. Well, I've already proved on video this driver of this red pickup truck is a Portland fucking pedophile cop. Now I'm going to show video of that fucking pickup truck that this cop drives while he takes over the fucking apartment surrounding mine and stalks me. Here's that pickup truck. Got that Portland cop driving too. I hope you take notice. Take notice of the decals. On the back of this truck. I have video of a Portland cop driving it. They were doing the same Portland cops that had the surrounding apartments. Surrounding my apartment over on Oaks. This street right here is 122nd. Right here is Domino's, which is on 122nd. Over on Oak Street, which is down that way about half a mile. I used to live at an apartment building over on Oak Street, and I was surrounded by Portland cops and by Multnomah County Sheriff officers, and they took over the surrounding apartments surrounding mine, and they were putting death threats in my apartment, and they were putting audio death threats in my apartment, as well as giving me certain threatening messages by email where they don't really say anything, but they show suggestive photographs implying danger to my family. It was their way of blackmailing me. Well, those undercover cops, one of whom happened to be my wife's lover, Officer Eric Carlson of the Portland Police Department, they were using vehicles where they were using their own private vehicles, but they're using their police powers to take over the surrounding apartments. And they, on the vehicles that they were using, they had these cryptic death messages on their vehicles, just like this fucking truck has. The cop that drives this truck, he's in the apartment right next door to me. He's got decals on his vehicle flaunting the fact that he's, well, if those two decals right there is flaunting guns use and flaunting death, because there's a skull. There's a skull decal right there, and there's a gun decal right there. He's a fucking Portland cop. This is what they were doing over on Oak Street when they were putting death threats in my home. And my wife's lover, Officer Eric Carlson, he was one of them. Okay, now that you've seen close-up video of that fucking red pickup truck that Portland pedophile cop keeps using to stalk me with, after you've seen the decals and whatnot, the death threat type decals he has on his goddamn pickup truck, after I got video of that, I went to the grocery store, bought some groceries, and on my way back home I stopped off at a small store to get some cigarettes. And as I was walking out of that store, after buying cigarettes, I noticed that the dude, that cop with that red pickup truck, that's in the apartment right next door to me, he just walked into that store that I was in. That I was just walking out of that store. And lo and behold, there's his red pickup truck parked right in front of the fucking store. So the dude followed me and is stalking me and is not fucking trying to hide it. He's got death threat messages on his decals on his truck, and he's stalking me. These fucking Portland pedophile police officers don't even hide their fucking guilt. Dude in the red pickup truck, he just followed me to this store. Just followed me here. Okay. After I got video of that pedophile Portland cop stalking me at the store, I got home and unloaded my grocery cart there. And unloaded my groceries and sat down and had about an hour to rest before I started sitting down here and making this vlog explaining this situation. You need to understand that it's accumulative. It's ongoing. They don't stop. They fucking don't stop, I swear. The apartment manager is fucking pals with the Portland police and with the Multnomah County sheriffs. She's fucking aiding and abetting them in these crimes. This is so fucking illegal. It's open murder conspiracy. They're doing this for murder. For fuck's sake, they've taken control of the surrounding apartments. They've pretty much taken over this entire building. They spent the whole time I've lived here, they spent vilifying me in my neighborhood behind my back so I can't defend against it, in order to isolate me and cut me off from any form of help or support from others. It's premeditated fucking murder done by fucking sting operatives. And police and county sheriffs have so many civilian sting ops that aid and abet their asses that they just don't give a fuck if they're caught. These sting ops surrounding my apartment do not fucking live here. They're not legally tenants here. They have legal address elsewhere. Their mail does not come here because they do not live here. They're fucking cops. They own homes elsewhere. They're not here to live. They're here to fucking commit crimes and to frame me for their shit. To cover a fellow cop's ass. Because Officer Eric Carlson of the Portland Police and Officer John Ray of the Portland Police committed a break-in and a rape and a homicide in March 26, 2007. And they tried to frame me for it. And I caught the fuckers in the act committing the crimes. So they have no intention of having a trial. They just want to vilify their victims and give their victims the blame for their shit. And then they just want to murder off their victims. And that's why they're here. To finish me off. And they're not even fucking trying to hide it. Okay. My name's Terry Wager. Date today is August 21st, 2015. I just went down to my mailbox, get my mail out of the mailbox, and as I was walking back to my apartment, that red pickup truck that the Portland police sting ops that are surrounding my apartment that have is parked in that parking lot. People that own that, well, the people that use that red pickup truck are Portland police sting ops that are in that apartment right next door to me, to my right. They have been following me around everywhere I go. I have video to back that up. They had death threat decals on the back window of their pickup truck, and I happened to get video of that. They're police sting ops. They were following me around everywhere I go. When I leave my apartment and go to the bank and go grocery shopping and whatnot, they follow me every time I leave here. It doesn't matter where I go, they follow me. And they don't really try to hide it. They don't really hide it from me. They actually want me to know. And they have death threat decals on that pickup truck. Now, you have to understand, that's a Portland fucking cop that drives that pickup truck. I already have that Portland cop on fucking video, wearing his uniform, his police uniform. I hope you noticed on the video that he's taken down some of those death threat decals. He had a death threat decal that said Oregon, where the last part of the word says gun, G-U-N. He had a sticker decal on there that said Oregon on it, but it's spelled O-R-E-G-U-N. And then on the other side of the window, he has like a death skull on it. Now, these sting ops these police sting ops have been fucking following me around. They don't hide it from me. I've got video to back that up. Now, I posted on my YouTube channel at the beginning of this month, this very month, the videos of that police officer following me around. They got video of the death threat decals that he had on the back of that truck. Well, shortly after I posted that video on my YouTube channel, that fucker took down his Oregon death threat decal where it's spelled O-R-E-G-U-N. He took that down. He took it down. So these sting ops are trying to hide the fact that they're following me around and they have death threat type decals on their vehicle. Now, they don't hide it from me. They don't give a damn if I know, but they don't want me proving it to other people at all. They don't care. They don't give a damn if I know. I am a victim and a witness to a murder conspiracy. I have been targeted by the Multnomah County Sheriffs and by the Portland Police. Ever since my wife, Joan Wager, got the job at the Multnomah County Jail Kitchen back in the year 2000. My wife was having sexual affairs with people in law enforcement. My wife and her side of the family were palling around with county sheriff officers and with Portland police officers. And they decided to get rid of me using a sting operation. They decided they were going to, and they targeted not just me, they targeted every member of my family. Every member of my family in a sting operation. And it was Multnomah County Sheriff's and the Portland Police Department that executed their police powers to get 72-hour notices to evict all the surrounding neighbors surrounding my apartment, my father's apartment, and my mother's home. They immediately brought in somebody to use as a double, a look-alike. And they, right off the bat, had that double targeting my parents. Right off the bat, immediately. The county sheriff literally told my wife, Joan Wager, to quit her job at the county jail kitchen in order to conceal her connections with them. And the exact same day the county sheriff told her to quit is the exact same day the Multnomah County sheriffs filled out these multitudes of 72-hour notices to evict the surrounding neighbors surrounding me and my father and my mother. It's the same day. The day the county sheriff told my wife to quit her job at the county jail kitchen to hide her connections with them is the exact same day the county sheriffs are launching this operation against me and my side of the family. And my wife, Joan Wager, and her side of the family were on board with it. And we're celebrating it the day of its launch, which is how I uncovered this. They were using a double to set me up for crimes. They fascistly took over the surrounding apartments, surrounding mine, so that they can control the surrounding area. They immediately began staging crimes in my neighborhood, in my area where I lived, while they were using a double. My wife and her side of the family were being paid by the county sheriffs to turn my yard into a playground in preparation for this double's arrival onto my property. They had it planned out from the very beginning. They were going to be setting me up as a pedo, and because they had my wife and our oldest daughter recruited into it, for them, all that mattered to them was going through the motions of making me look like a bad guy to other people. This was all funded by the county sheriffs, Multnomah County sheriffs. They funded everything they did. And the county sheriffs even brought in their longtime favorite civilian sting ops, the Dunham family, who have an extraordinarily long history of aiding and abetting the Multnomah County sheriffs in the use of doubles and photogenic photos for the purpose of framing people as pedophiles. The Dunham family have a history of this, and they're relatives to people in the Multnomah County sheriffs. Well, they brought in the Dunham family, and they specifically assigned the Dunham family to target my kids. So while the county sheriffs was paying my wife and her side of the family to set me up as a pedo, and the county sheriff was paying a double, a look-alike of me, not an exact twin, but a look-alike, somebody that resembles me a great deal, to target my parents, the county sheriff paid the Dunham family to target my kids. Now, I'm a victim of a murder conspiracy. I uncovered this conspiracy from the very beginning because my wife and her side of the family were celebrating the launch of this operation. And they were having fun hinting at it. And my wife and her side of the family were completely oblivious to the fact that I already knew the Multnomah County sheriffs and the Dunham family did this kind of shit to people. They were completely oblivious to that. So they were having fun hinting at everything, thinking everything was just going over my head, when in fact I was recognizing signs of this operation immediately. I basically had the whole thing pegged the day my wife quit and just misjudged the size of it. I thought it was 2 or 3 bad apples in law enforcement and just everybody on my wife's side of the family. In other words, I thought it was my wife's lover and his immediate buddies in law enforcement that gave my wife and her family permission to do this, and that they're trying to hide it from everybody else in law enforcement. So I was under the impression I could prove, I'll be able to prove this and get help. And I didn't realize that the Multnomah County Sheriffs, I didn't realize yet that the Multnomah County Sheriffs and the Portland Police, in their entirety, was officially backing this up and was okay with this shit and was funding all this shit. I thought it was a smaller operation that was more of an unofficial operation where basically I thought my impression was my wife's fuck buddy, who she was cheating on me with, wanted to frame me as a pedo to get rid of me, and my wife and her side of the family were on board with it. And that he had his buddies helping him. That was my initial impression of this conspiracy the day of its launch. I had it very well pegged, but misjudged the sheer size and magnitude of it all because I didn't realize yet they were targeting everybody in my family, and I didn't realize yet that they had the entire blessings of everybody on the Multnomah County Sheriffs and everybody in the Portland Police Department and anybody and everybody that is a relative or a buddy or a whore-ass girlfriend of law enforcement. So I basically had it pegged right away and just misjudged the sheer size of all of it. Now, in 2005, my wife poisoned me when I found out that she was hooking her daughters up with a Portland cop by the name of Officer Eric Carlson, and that they were using him as a double. And I tried to warn people about it, and my wife poisoned me. The Portland Police Department and the Multnomah County Sheriff used their influence, their direct influence with the emergency hospital to deny me emergency services and to cover up the poisoning. So I had no way to get help. I go into the emergency hospital. The nurse, the emergency lobby receptionist and the doctors were more concerned about doing what the Portland police were telling them to do than they were in asking me what's wrong and what symptoms am I suffering. It was very blatant and very obvious that the receptionists, the nurses, the doctors at the emergency hospital, they didn't give a rat's ass what was wrong with me at all. They were more interested in doing what the officers were telling them to do. And the police officers were basically just vilifying me to the people at the emergency hospital behind my back, and they basically labeled me as a bad guy repeatedly until the doctor would get the hint to not help me. And for the person at the emergency reception desk, when you first get admitted into a hospital, they were just basically labeling me as a bad guy until they got the hint to not help me. No trials, no convictions, no verdicts, no nothing. Just cops using their power of influence with other people to deny me emergency services. And it was almost effortless for the police to do this. The doctors refused to help me. The doctors refused to take toxicology tests. The doctors refused to put down in writing any of the symptoms I was suffering, and they just faked and pretended to not know what was wrong with me. And all it took was my wife's lover, Officer Eric Carlson's partner, out in the hallway, a 60-second conversation he had with my doctor, and that's all it took. And then nobody would help me at the emergency hospital after that. That's all it took. Now, they were setting me up for a series of crimes. How many crimes and what crimes? I can only guess. I did, in fact, catch them setting me up for crimes. They were trying to frame me for murder in 2007. I caught them in the act by putting an audio recorder in my wife's purse. I quite literally caught them in the act. And there were several of them involved. It was 4 people in law enforcement and at least 2 civilians. The 2 civilians is their whore-ass girlfriends. So basically, several cops and their whore-ass poisonous girlfriends were committed a murder, and they were setting me up to get the blame. For all intents and purposes, it's a sting operation, but it's a sting operation where the sting ops themselves are committing the crimes, and then they're planning evidence to pin the blame on me. And I ended up catching the whole damn thing on an audio recorder that I put in my wife's purse. My wife and her daughters were the 2 civilians aiding and abetting them and framing me for a homicide. And my wife was having sexual affairs and sexual relations with these sting ops at the time. So technically, these cops' whore-ass girlfriends were aiding and abetting them in the commission of a homicide, and were aiding and abetting them in planning evidence to set me up to get the blame. I basically caught them in the act on an audio recorder. I made several copies of that audio recording, and I secured at least 1 copy of it. They didn't know how many copies I secured. I'm very good at securing evidence. The only reason I'm good at securing evidence is because I uncovered this operation of theirs at its launch, and they didn't think I knew. And I was hanging in there the entire time in self-defense, documenting their communications, keeping track of the process they were using in preparation for court, because I already knew they made the decision that they were going to be setting me up to get rid of me. I knew at some point I was going to be framed for shit and charged with shit. So I was preparing for court in self-defense right off the bat by acquiring and, more importantly, securing evidence. I knew I had to secure evidence because I can't trust anybody in law enforcement. My wife was having an affair with a cop. I'm not going to assume anybody with a badge is on my side. I'm going to assume everybody with a badge would rather eliminate me to cover a cop's ass. And the only way I could secure evidence of their guilt was to literally keep their guard down, which meant I had to act like I didn't know throughout the entire course of this. Now, they had me severely debilitated. They had me partially paralyzed. They had me for years bedridden from poisoning me. To this day, I'm still severely debilitated. I'm still partially paralyzed. I'm still in a great deal of pain. I'm able to function enough to where I can communicate effectively. It's not easy to go back in 2006, 2007, 2008, and 2009. It was very difficult for me to even communicate verbally because of the sheer amount of pain I was in. And for the most part, in those years, I was bedridden for the most part. And very, very difficult, near impossible for me to communicate verbally. I'd be lucky if I could just scream out 3 or 4 or 5, 6 words, and because of the pain I was in, it was so excruciating. Try to talk and form a sentence when you're in excruciating pain. It's not fucking easy. And it's taken me years just to get to this point, literally where I'm able to somewhat walk around and somewhat communicate. And I have to be sitting in order to communicate verbally, in order to record this vlog, because it's just, I can't stand up or walk and then communicate like I'm doing right now, because it's just too painful. A multitude of people, law enforcement, were setting me up for a series of crimes, and they were using sting operation tactics to do it. They were using their police powers to take over the surrounding apartments. My wife and her side of the family were palling around with, and actually sleeping around with these sting ops, and were aiding and abetting the sting ops in the commission of the crimes that they were committing, all with the intent of pinning everything on me. And I uncovered it and was documenting the process they were using, keeping track of the process they used, and was taking the time to document their communications. I knew that my wife and her side of the family were meeting regularly with law enforcement, and I knew I could very easily document their communications as long as I kept their guard down and acted like I didn't know what the fuck was going on. In 2009, I was living over on Southeast Oak Street near 122nd. Severely debilitated, severely poisoned. And the sting operation that was sleeping around and pounding around with my wife and her side of the family, they took over the entire apartment building that I lived at. The apartment building I lived at over on Oak Street only consisted of 8 apartments. The apartment manager lived on site, so that's one apartment that's taken by the apartment manager. I lived in one of the apartments there, which leaves 6 apartments. The Portland Police and Multnomah County Sheriffs used their police powers to take over the remaining 6 apartments. And they filled that apartment building with their undercover cops and with their civilian operatives. Basically, filled those apartments with cops and their whore-ass girlfriends, essentially, for the most part. And while they had me in a debilitated condition, and I was severely debilitated, then they were staging crimes and committing crimes right in front of my apartment, and they were using Officer Eric Carlson as a body double to impersonate me. And he was dressing up like me, and he was performing skits in front of my apartment while he impersonated me, along with his partners. And they were performing various skits for their own video surveillance and for their own photogenic photo purposes. I literally caught them in the act doing this, and I caught them on video and audio doing this. I have them on audio verbally admitting that they're there to kill me, they're there to finish me off, and that they're paying a bunch of people to make me look like a bad guy. And I quite literally caught them on video and audio, basically using a double to walk back and forth in front of my apartment while he performed various skits with other sting ops that were also performing skits for video surveillance and for photogenic photo purposes. And you can hear the officers they were using children in that operation. The Multnomah County Sheriff brought the children there to that location for Officer Eric Carlson and his partners to direct their actions and the words that they used. And they're quite literally caught by me on video and audio, directing those brats to perform for their own video surveillance and for their own photogenic photos. And you can actually hear the officers telling the children to do this and to do that. And keep in mind, they're even telling the children how much they're getting for this. So they were setting me up to be killed. They were setting me up to get the blame for what the sting operation is guilty of, and they were setting me up to be killed. And they're caught on video and audio admitting. I desperately tried to warn people. I even tried to warn my apartment manager. I tried to warn as many people as I could. But the apartment manager over there on Oak Street was aiding and abetting the sting, and because of it, what they did was they ignored my complaints entirely, and then they just evicted me. Now, for a couple months, I was homeless. After that, and while I was homeless, the sting operations were setting me up. They were harassing and terrorizing me while I was homeless. To be homeless is to be easy prey for a sting operation because they just harass and terrorize the homeless person. And I was homeless. I was disabled. I'm debilitated. I had no money. I had no way to go anywhere. And they took full advantage of that. After I got on SSI, I got this apartment here. And ever since I've rented this apartment, the Portland Police and Multnomah County Sheriffs have taken over the surrounding apartments, directly surrounding mine. They didn't take over the entire building initially. This is a much bigger building than the apartment building that I lived at over on Oak Street. This one apartment building alone has 16 apartments. And there's another apartment building that's on the other side of the courtyard that's basically the same type of building that this building is, and it also has like 16 apartments. There's a third building here where I live that's back there that has less apartments, but it's only because it's like there are two-bedroom apartments. This building is a one-bedroom apartment. The building on the other side of the courtyard over there is a one-bedroom, all one-bedroom apartments. The building in the back of the courtyard, that is two-bedroom apartments back there, and there's probably about, I don't know, maybe 10 apartments in that apartment building back there. Now, ever since I moved into this one-bedroom apartment, the Portland Police Department and the Multnomah County Sheriffs took over the apartment directly to my right, directly to my left, apartment directly below mine, and the apartment manager that lives on site here, where I live now currently, is aiding and abetting this sting operation as well. That's enough to know that for the most part, almost any and all apartment managers in the entire city of Portland, Oregon, are for the most part sting ops, civilian sting ops for local authorities. And they obviously cooperate with any and all criminal activities committed by sting operations. Now, the apartment manager, after the police department surrounded my apartment by literally sandwiching me by taking control of the apartment surrounding mine, the apartment manager who lived in that building on the other side of the courtyard moved from that building to this building. And she's quite literally next door to the apartment that's directly below mine. Quite literally. Now, I've already got video, enough video and audio to prove and establish that the Portland Police have taken control of the apartment to my right, apartment to my left, apartment directly below mine, and that they're using their civilian operatives to aid and abet them in surrounding my apartment.
The apartment that's directly to the left of the apartment below mine, that's where the apartment manager is. The apartment directly to the right of the apartment below mine is a retired cop. So they have, they're using their covert fascist police sting powers to take over the surrounding apartments surrounding mine, and the apartment manager is aiding and abetting them. Now, last year in 2014, these sting ops had a water filtration system under my kitchen sink. They had it connected to my tap line, and they were using it to slowly poison me to death. When I discovered this, I went to the store, to Best Buy, and I bought this El Cheapo prepaid cell phone that has limited video recording capabilities, so that, because for one thing, I don't have very much money. I'm on SSI, for crying out loud. I still have to buy food. I still have to pay rent. I still have to pay utilities. I'm pretty much broke after that. So, but I bought this prepaid cell phone that has limited video recording capability, so that I could get this water filtration system that they had hidden under that kitchen sink on video. And when I came back, they removed it. Right after that, the sting ops, the civilian and the police sting ops that were in the apartment directly below mine, they were desperate at this point, and they were practically throwing kids at me for their own video surveillance purposes. Quite literally, the next time I left my apartment to go to the bank and to go grocery shopping, as I was going down the stairs, quite literally, as I'm going down the stairs, the sting ops that were in the apartment directly below mine were quite literally placing children in my path as I'm trying to and keep in mind, I'm partially paralyzed. It's not easy for me to get down these fucking stairs. And as I'm trying to get down the stairs, that's when the sting ops literally place the children at the bottom of the stairs in my path. And they're doing it for their own video surveillance and for their own photogenic photo purposes. Now, I was recording with my cell phone and had my cell phone at my side, and they didn't realize I was recording because I was holding my cell phone at my side. So I quite literally caught the sting op doing this, the adult sting op, using that child in that sting operation for the purpose of framing me. And then the bitch immediately began making false pedo accusations as I walked past them. Now, I had no way to avoid them. They quite literally just stood there at the bottom of the stairs and just waited for me to walk past. They're literally blocking my path, and they just waited until I walked past them. Right after I walked past them, that's when they started making false pedo accusations. And I actually proved they're doing it because my cell phone was recording, and I'm holding my cell phone down at my side, and quite literally caught them in the act of doing this. Now, not only did I perceive that sting operative's actions as unusual and weird and not normal, but the poor little child that the sting op was using deemed that female sting op's actions as weird and odd and unusual, and was complaining to that sting op. Not about me, but about the actions of the sting op. Now, ever since I caught that on video, this Portland cop and his civilian ops that are aiding and abetting him, they basically changed out all the people that were surrounding my apartment. They changed out the people that were in that apartment. They changed out the people that was in this apartment. They changed out the people that was in that apartment. And that's when this Portland cop with the red pickup truck showed up. They didn't actually move their shit out of these apartments. This person never showed up with a moving van and moved any shit into that apartment at all. They basically just changed. They didn't. When they change out the sting ops, they don't move out the furniture or anything. They take out the first crew, and then they just bring in an all new crew, and they leave the apartments that they've already taken control of, they leave those apartments still furnished. And that's essentially what they did, and it was very obvious and blatant they did that. Basically, they just changed out the sting ops, they left the furniture behind, they changed out the sting ops, and then they begin an all new and slightly different campaign against me. Now, these Portland cops that have the surrounding apartments, I have video of these people going to that red pickup truck, and the dude that was going to that red pickup truck and driving off in that red pickup truck, he was wearing a Portland police uniform. Now, these are El Cheapo, El Cruddy-ass one-bedroom apartments in this entire building. Normally, just single people or just a single couple normally would live in these one-bedroom apartments. But because I'm being set up and targeted by sting operatives, the sting ops have a multitude of people in these one-bedroom apartments surrounding mine, and in surrounding apartments throughout this building and the building on the other side of the courtyard there. All the sting ops that are using children here at Misty Firs Apartments, they're in one-bedroom apartments. And the reason why is because they don't actually live there. The sting ops don't live here. They work here. And they just bring in their civilian ops, and then they just start staging street theater performances for the purpose of framing and making their targets look like bad guys for their own video surveillance. And they're completely oblivious to how they themselves look. How does it look to see 4 or 5 people pretending to live in a one-bedroom apartment and they have children? What does that look like? Does that look normal to you? Does that sound normal? I guarantee you that's a sting operation. They don't actually live there. They're just using that particular apartment as a base of operation for their staging. Well, this Portland cop is pretending to live in that apartment to the right, and he has 2 other adults pretending to live in that apartment. 2 male adults and a male female are pretending to live in this one-bedroom apartment. And one of them is a cop that I already have on video in uniform leaving these apartments and going right to that red pickup truck and driving off. Now, I hope you noticed that on a previous video that, gee, this cop follows me around everywhere I go. And that he has death threat decals on that pickup truck. Now, I got video of that last month when he was stalking me last month, and got video of the death threat decals he has on that pickup truck. I already know he's a cop. I got video to prove he's wearing a police uniform. I've seen him with my own eyes wearing a Portland police uniform, and seen him in his uniform going to that red pickup truck and driving off. So I already know he's a fucking Portland pedophile cop. And he's packing death threat decals on that pickup truck, and he follows me around everywhere. Now, is that enough to know he's undercover? Since there's other adult people aiding and abetting them in this operation, is this enough to view it as a sting operation? So why is a sting operation following me around, and why are they packing death threat decals on their vehicle? Now, I've already got video of it last month. And at the beginning of this month, I uploaded video of that to my YouTube channel. Right after I uploaded video of those death threat decals this Portland cop has on his pickup truck, right after I uploaded that video to my YouTube channel, this Portland cop took those death threat decals down. Right after that. Now, not very many people go to my YouTube channel. As a matter of fact, the only people that actually, for the most part, view any videos on my YouTube channel is the sting ops that are targeting me themselves. So right after I got video of this Portland cop following me around, I got video of his death threat decals that he has on his pickup truck. Gee, he took down his death threat decals. Right after that. Right after that. Now, is that enough to know this fucking Portland pedophile police officer is viewing my videos on my YouTube channel? Keep in mind, not very many people are subscribed to my YouTube channel. And yet this motherfucker knows I got video of his death threat decals that are on his pickup truck, and got video of him following my ass every goddamn place I go to. Now keep in mind, I don't have a vehicle. Wherever I go, I either have to walk or I have to take a bus. And this motherfucker follows me fucking everywhere I go. They're not trying to hide it. He's trying to be intimidating. They've already destroyed my life. I'm not going to be scared of you. I'll be very happy to act in self-defense. If I had the means to act in self-defense, I would. You've already fucking poisoned me. You fuckers already framed me for shit and just denied me a trial and vilified me behind my back. I ain't going to give a damn about your courts or your fucking opinion. Department manager here, aiding and abetting these fuckers. I see why cops or county sheriff officers never go to prison, because nobody in the fucking government takes complaints on cops or their whore-ass girlfriends. Nobody. These fuckers targeted my family in a sting operation in the year 2000. They battered my mother using a fucking double. They murdered my father right after that. They blackmailed me, and then they flaunted the fact that they had the Dunham family, who have a long history of using doubles and photogenic photos to frame people, and they have a long history of being poisoners. They made it known to me right after they blackmailed me that they had the Dunham family targeting my kids. And they were blackmailing me ever fucking since! Well, in April 2005, they threw away the only hold they had over me when they recruited all my daughters into this sting operation, and my daughters flaunted it to my face. The whole time, I remained up until April 2005, I remained silent because I was being blackmailed by these fucking organized murderers, fearing for my daughter's safety. But then in April 2005, my daughters flaunted the fact they joined into it. So my parents' sacrifice and my sacrifice to protect them was for nothing. Well, they continued trying to blackmail me, which was pointless because I didn't care anymore. They started giving me audio death threats and making demands on audio death threats, and I'm like, fuck you! They started sending me emails implying that they were going to cause harm to my daughters. And I said, go to hell, you fucking assholes. I already know my daughters are sleeping around with you fucking murderers. I'm not going to give a damn anymore about your damn blackmail attempts. Fuck you. They can go to hell. I know damn well they joined into it. Fucking cocks and their goddamn whore-ass poisonous girlfriends. How do you get these fuckers in a courtroom? I swear to God, calling 911 does not get a cop nor a cop's girlfriend arrested on anything in this fucking fascist town of Portland, Oregon. You fucking murderers! In 2005, before I discovered that my wife was hooking our daughters up with Officer Eric Carlson and found out that he was acting as a double to impersonate me so that they could set me up for crimes, and found out that everybody at my wife's place of employment knew about it and was trying to hide it from me, that's when they threw away their blackmail hold over me, because the only thing I was afraid of, the only thing I was worried about was harm coming to my daughters. That was the only thing I was afraid of. Well, when they fucking flaunted the fact that they recruited our daughters into this shit, I didn't care anymore. To hell with them. I want them on murder charges since they joined into it, and there's no statute of limitation for murder. They want to flaunt the fact they joined into it? I want their ass on murder charges. They were fucking poisoning me in 2005 when I was a regular plasma donor. So they're fucking serial killers. My wife, Joan Wager, and her daughters are fucking serial killers. They're whores for Portland police officers and for county sheriff officers, and they're fucking serial killers. Quote another code, double users, not going to care. Not even going to care about your courts. I'll accuse your whole goddamn court. I'll accuse the whole jury pool of being cops' relatives and cops' girlfriends. Fuck you. Did law enforcement have anything to do with the selection of that jury pool? Strike the fucking jury pool. Fuck you. Somebody please tell me, how the hell do I get a murderous cop and their poisonous whore-ass girlfriends arrested? Because calling 911 does not get a cop or a whore-ass cop's girlfriend arrested in this town. It doesn't even get anybody to take a complaint. You fucking murderers! These fucking sting ops are using children in their sting operations. And they're fucking using doubles to impersonate their targets. And they use the children to pose with the doubles. They put a fucking death threat in my home, bragging about it, and bragged they pedophiled me for the crimes that Portland cops and county sheriff officers are guilty of. And it's the fucking cops' whore-ass girlfriends and the cops' whore-ass female relatives that use their own children in these sting operations, and it's law enforcement officers themselves to act as the photo doubles. And then they just pose and perform various skits for video surveillance and or for photogenic photos. And that's how they make it so people they target look like bad guys. And they have a name for it. They call it pedifying. And they fucking brag to me on a fucking audio death threat, an admissible death threat. And I have video and audio footage to prove at the time I was surrounded by my wife's lover, Officer Eric Carlson, and by his partners in the Portland Police Department and in Multnomah County Sheriffs, as well as people in the Oregon State Police Department. Namely, one of them being Detective Brian Osmus of the Oregon State Police. So that's 3 agencies, 3 police agencies that were openly and actively using a double to set me up for fucking crimes! And everybody at Eastport Walmart and everybody at Clackamas Walmart knew about this sting operation and knew my wife and her daughters and my wife's sister were palling around and sleeping around with these officers, and they knew my wife's lover, Officer Eric Carlson, was the one acting as the double to frame me for a series of crimes. Murders, rapes, poisonings, those type of crimes. These were the type of crimes they were setting me up for while they had me poisoned and debilitated. This fucking idiot thinks he's all bad, he's all tough, he's a cop, they got guns, they have me surrounded. Oh, fuck you, I'd go through you like butter in an instant in self-defense. You're going to put audio death threats in my home and then flaunt the fact you're one of the people responsible by following me around and having death threat decals on your pickup truck and then go to your pickup truck while you're wearing your police uniform? Cops don't live here. Cops either own homes or they own condominiums. Cops don't live in shitty-ass, cruddy apartment buildings like this. Fucking pedophile Portland police officers use their own girlfriends' children and their own relatives' children in sting operations, and they use officers as photo doubles so that they could, and then they perform skits. They perform street theater performances using doubles and photogenic photos, and they use children in those operations so that they can frame people and make people look like bad guys. And they do it all under the pretense of a sting and under the pretense of an investigation. I literally got video last month of this Portland police officer's death threat decals he had on that red pickup truck, and I uploaded that video onto my YouTube channel. Right after I uploaded that video on the YouTube channel, this motherfucking undercover pedophile cop fucking took down those death threat decals off that red pickup truck. And now I have video of that. Right after I uploaded proof that he's packing death threat decals on his pickup truck to my YouTube channel, that fucker took it down. Now, is that enough to know I'm surrounded by a sting operation? Is that enough to know that the very people surrounding me are aware of my YouTube channel? Is that enough to know that the very people surrounding me are sting ops? Not very many people go to my YouTube channel. The only people that go to my YouTube channel for the most part are the fucking sting ops themselves that were fucking setting my ass up. The date today is August 21st. (2015). The time right now is almost 2:30 in the afternoon. That should be enough proof to show and establish that, yeah, they had death threat decals on their pickup truck. And right after I documented it on video and uploaded it to my YouTube channel, these undercover, murderous, poisonous sting ops removed their death threat decals. How much you want to bet they'll put the death threat decals back later this month? When I leave, just how much you want to bet at the first of next month that they'll put the death threat decals back? How much you want to bet?